This is a sad day here.
It is. If you've seen the title of the video, you know, we're going to be saying goodbye to this truck. And
you know, this
we knew it was coming when we got this truck. We just did not know when. And so
it's
time's finally come.
It's time for it to happen.
It's time. So, and just to put this out there, we're not selling the truck. Just had to throw everybody through a loop there.
Yeah, we're not selling the truck. We're just saying goodbye for a little while.
And so, if you hadn't seen our previous videos on this truck, our 84 is LS swapped C10. We mentioned in those videos the truck had some wiring problems from when the motor was originally put in there, and
which we did not do.
Yeah, backstory on the truck. How it looks now, we've done everything to it. We'll throw some pictures of what it looked like, except put the motor in it.
Yeah.
And it's not on these wheels, it's on these Rocket Racing wheels we've got here.
Yeah.
We're putting on these. It's about to get some work done to it. So
before we can say goodbye,
yeah,
we've got a lot of work we need to do too.
We have a pretty good list to do. So anyway, backstory on this truck, we got it, I guess, shoot, two years ago.
Probably.
About 2 years ago from this point. Was already LS swapped by the owner that had it, or he had it done. And so the rest of the truck rough, we buffed it out. I ended up buffing it about twice to get it look like this, and it's pretty dusty. It's been sitting here all summer. Most of the spring, fall, we hadn't drove it any. And so we lowered it, put the wheels on it, cleaned everything up, put the inside, and it just had I don't think it had everything in here from what I can remember. It was missing some stuff, and it was just all old.
It was all faded and cracked up and everything, and it was just...
So do that, and you know, when we first started driving this truck, it would never shift into overdrive, and so it's got a 5.3 4L60 in it with a BTR stage 3 cam, is what we were told. And it does have a stall converter in it. I think somewhere around...
Yeah, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,800.
Somewhere through there. We're not exact on any of this. It's what we were told. And so it would never shift into overdrive. And so we take it to a guy that's...
And we noticed it wasn't running the best.
Yeah, it would run. It would sit there and run decent, but it's always sounded like it had... I mean, it was something was wrong with it. But
I mean, it was always camming, but it didn't sound... exactly right.
So we take it to a guy that tunes our stuff for us. He gets in there and tunes it, realizes that
the whole tune is just a complete mess.
I think what happened, they just tuned it for a computer, threw it in there, and then never like road tuned it.
Yeah, just a baseline in there.
Yeah, what happened, somebody just tuned one to get it running, to, I guess, movable, and put in the computer, never had it road tuned. So
yeah.
This truck has a 273 rear end in it.
Yeah, which is the factory rear gear.
Yeah, it was, and then the computer thought it had a 373 in it. So when the truck was running 70, 75, the computer thought it was running like 50.
Yeah.
45, 50, something like that.
So this truck wouldn't kick into overdrive until 70 or 75.
Yeah. And
it was just a complete mess. We actually drove this truck. What about a 70-mile trip one way?
Yeah.
Before we realized this, and our dad was driving it, he said it would never kick into overdrive. And we got to where we was going, and I guess the transmission just got so hot, the fluid got so thin, it would not pull itself. So we let it cool off and all that, put some fresh fluid in it. And we come back on the highway, and we was running 75 and 80. It got in overdrive, never got hot. Transmission wasn't slipping or nothing after that. So that's when we really started noticing that there was a problem.
Yeah, that's when we went and got it tuned, and that's when he did tell us, the tuner, that that transmission more likely
it'd been like that for so long.
Yeah, it's probably messed something up in it, and so it's not a matter of if it was going to go out, it was when, and so then
we proceed to drive it.
Yeah, we probably put 1,500 miles on it since then. It helped it a whole lot. The tune.
Oh yeah, the tune worked wonders on this truck.
Just recently, this past spring, you drove it to just a local show we have up here, and then on the way back.
Yeah, I was driving it. We was doing good, you know, and all of a sudden, the truck just goes to idle, lose complete throttle. Can't do nothing. So I'm trying to give it gas. The engine won't rev or nothing. So, and it's a drive-by-wire. It's an electronic throttle body, and it's got the pedal out of the Tahoe the motor come out of. Yeah. So we was thinking there's some sort of delay in there, but anyways, it left me stranded on the side of the road. Camden had to go get his. It left me stranded on the side of the road. Camden had to go get his truck and pull me home. Luckily, it was only about 300 yards from the house.
Yeah, it was probably a half mile.
Yeah,
it wasn't that far. So.
But, and then we thought it may have just been a fluke thing. So we get it out, drive it again, does it again.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
We tried to drive this truck 3 more times after that. It happened the first time. Every single time, you lose complete throttle. And we started doing some research, and we thought it was either the pedal or the throttle body. So we put a new throttle body on it, and it didn't fix it, did it?
Well, I'm pretty sure you have to program a throttle body to these. I may be wrong on that. I don't know for sure. That's what some people told us you had to. Other ones said you didn't have to. So I ain't too for sure. So.
And then some people said it could be the pedal in it, because it is an electronic gas pedal.
This needed to be done from day one when we got this truck. It's not like this is the reason it's happening. This is just what.
This was always the plan, and that incident really just is what pushed us over the edge.
Yeah, for that happening, that's what's going to cause this. Like you said, this was always intended to be done. We just
didn't know when it was going to happen.
Wait until something like this happened, because I mean, it's like driving the truck. It's just
it's a fun truck to drive.
As far as the motor in here, it's not terrible looking. It's just everything is dirty. I mean, nothing looked like it's been cleaned before it got put in here.
It's got the factory harness cut down, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's a lot of swaps out there that's like that. It's just the way this one was done could have been a little bit cleaner, as far as how they ran the wires and all that, and where your computer and everything's at. It's just not how we would like it to be.
So we're going to end up pulling all this out. Like I said, we're going to paint the firewall, paint the inner fenders of the truck, jam the fenders, do the inner fenders, paint under the hood.
Probably paint the support, all that.
Do that.
And we're pulling the motor out, and
pull the motor and trans, getting
the trans rebuilt.
Probably gonna be swapping cams in this motor, and then going through it, kind of freshening it up a little bit.
Which there's nothing wrong with the Stage 3 BTR that's in it. Nothing. The only thing we don't like about it is the stall. It's just kind of iffy. And what we're actually gonna do is pull the Stage 3 out and put a Truck Norris in it. So we should be able to put a factory converter back in it and still have the same sound.
See, this thing too has got manifolds off of a Camaro on it, so we're gonna be putting headers on it. We're gonna be changing the intake. We're doing away with the truck intake. We're gonna be running an LS1 intake on it. Just kind of clean all that up.
And we're gonna be ditching the electronic throttle body as well.
Yeah, we're gonna go to cable. The plan anyway.
That's the plan.
And it's got a mechanical fan on it. We're gonna be putting electric fans on it. We're having it done. We're not gonna be doing this. A good friend of ours, is gonna be doing this for us.
He's been doing these LS swaps for a long time. He's probably one of the first ones around here to really start. So
we're gonna get all this went through. We're gonna pull all this off. We're gonna do it down at the body shop, just for the fact that once we pull this out, it's going to have to go down there somehow to get painted. So I guess we're going to get this thing down there, start tearing into it, and we need to tear another one down.
Because we've got plenty to work on already. But
this has to happen though, really. I mean, we need to have this truck for the next spring,
for upcoming show season.
Anyway, we're going to get this thing down there. We'll check in through updates here and there. Probably after we get the front end off, we'll check back in and just go from there and start tearing into it.
So all right, as you seen that time lapse, it's a little too late to go back now.
So, I mean, you could go back. It would just require a lot of assembly.
Yeah, we've got everything but the motor and trans out now. So
yeah, it's everything else is loose, exhaust loose, transmission cross member out, drive shafts loose.
all these little miscellaneous grounds, and
Yeah. So
we think we've got everything. We'll
to start with.
to start with. We'll find out when we start jacking up with this engine hoist here.
If we can get all this, there's a lot of like excess wiring everywhere on this thing. So
Yeah,
it's-
which is, if we didn't say earlier, we're going to be putting there will be a PSI harness being put on this, so that should really clean a lot of this just nest
Yeah.
up.
But you know, got the fenders off. Everything else, fenders never been off this truck. So
Still got the foam right there.
and it was kind of stuck. On
Yeah, it was
too,
stuck,
so
which,
went ahead and we scraped some of this. I guess you call it. I don't know what.
yeah, I don't,
The black,
some sort of rubberized
Yeah.
coating of some sort. Scraped all of it off, got the air box off. We're going to be running vintage air on this thing, so we'll have a block off plate to go in this area here. So yeah, all we like is to really chain this thing up and pull the motor mounts off of it. And,
Yep, everything's out except the motor mount. So
yeah, and then just look at that big old fan. Thought this was a
Yes.
diesel sitting here.
it won't have. We're going electric fan too. I don't
That's
know if
right.
I said that earlier. or
Get
not.
rid of this big joker here. So yeah,
Yep.
we're getting there. Got the computer laying all right here. It was took a little bit longer than we expected, but
Did. Really, the only thing that held us up was I had to cut two inner fender bolts. On
yeah,
the side.
the inner fenders kind of took a little bit longer than we thought, but
The clips will break off
Yeah.
inside them, so you have to just cut them off. But you can replace the clips, so it ain't like you've got to re-tap a hole or
Yeah.
nothing. So
between that and loafers,
anyway, we're gonna get this thing chained up and roll the time lapse, get it out.
Alright, so as you've seen there, we got this motor out. It was late last night, so we didn't do any more filming about it, but it is out. It was kind of a battle.
Yeah, it's almost like whoever put this thing in there had the motor setting up like this, and then
Decided,
basically wired it like
yeah,
that.
it was pretty jumbled up. We had to cut the factory or the truck harness off of the motor harness because
Yeah, I mean it was
And,
so
yeah, it was-
intertwined in there, it ain't even.
yeah, it's kind of just a jumbled up mess. But
This thing has made a mess.
it has made a mess, no doubt about it.
But yeah,
Yeah.
for some reason too, the motor mounts were cut off here,
And they slid them back.
and the bottom was not even welded. Just the top
Yeah,
was
so
welded.
that's-
So
That's, real nice, real safe. You know what I'm saying?
Feel good knowing the fact we drove this truck for about 2 years with just the top of the
Yeah.
motor mounts welded. So
But yeah. And there is a bunch of caked on grease and stuff that we're gonna have to dig out of here, and we'll spray this whole front frame section here and get it back looking right.
Yeah, we're gonna get it over there to the wash bay, get everything cleaned up. I gotta go inside, take all the air box stuff out from the inside, and get all this wiring out of here, and
All that wiring for the old air, because we don't need that where we're going.
no, we don't need that stuff. So we'll get it over there, get it washed, and we gotta do a little bit of welding on the firewall for clean some stuff up we was going to, and so we'll get it moved over there, start washing it.
So we went ahead and got the frame all pressure washed. Got a lot of the old paint that was on there off. A lot of the caked on grease. Got it off.
Along with the firewall.
Yeah, washed the firewall too.
Which washing it didn't help it that much.
No.
I mean, it needs some help. So.
Yeah, it needs all the help we can get. And while we had the front end up in there, we noticed our idler arm here was pretty shot, to say the least.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, the old one's in there, but this thing, it was always, the steering in it was always it kind of just wandered when it was driving down the road. Yeah, there's the old one there. It's just a mess. But we had an alignment on it. We thought that'd help it. We put new shocks on it. Thought that might help it, and it did help it, but it never fixed it. So we're thinking the idler arm is what was causing all that the whole time. So went ahead and got that fixed.
We won't know now until
yeah,
the process gets done. So
yeah.
So anyway, what we're about to do is, we mentioned earlier about putting vintage air on this truck, which if you put vintage air on these trucks, the plate, I'm pretty sure it comes somewhere up and through here.
Yeah.
And it gives you something to plug this hole right here.
A little circle piece
so
to go over it.
I really, once I don't like it, but we're just gonna try this. We're gonna take and
Just make it even a little bit cleaner.
yeah, we're gonna shave the little.
You can see there's a little lip.
This is the
on
hole
there.
for the blower motor. And so from the factory air box, and so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take a disc and grind this flange off here, and then just take them and cut me a circle, weld it in, flush, and do
Body work it.
there, and do that, and just kind of clean this corner up over here a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's a few odd end holes that were drilled in here I'm gonna weld up too, just while I'm already here. And so
Just help clean it up a little bit more.
yeah, got the complete inside gutted out of this truck,
Well,
except for the padding on top of the hump here. But
yeah.
it's the first time we've had the factory like jute pad out of it, so it looks pretty good. So
Yeah. Just dirty.
I guess give me a circle traced out. I'm gonna cut a piece of metal out, put in here, and then start welding in and go from there.
rolling. As you can see here, we primed a little bit more of this firewall. We did just have it over around here in this top section, but we got to sanding all the, what would you call that? Like some sort of rubberized spray coating.
Yeah. So by the time we got most of it off, a lot of that middle section was bare metal, so we ended up just priming the middle of the
we scraped as much as we could, and then we tried sanding it off from there, but it, like I said, it was just taking it down the metal before it was taking that stuff off. So we just ended up priming this whole thing, which it should turn out a little bit smoother, a little bit slicker. So.
And that is guide coat on there for anybody wondering.
Anybody that's wondering, guide coat. Yeah, well, we put that on there to make sure we got all these little cracks and spot welds actually sanded, because if you didn't put that on there, you
kind of blend together.
You really wouldn't be able to tell if you got it sanded or not. So that's where we're at. We're gonna be here a little while too.
So we're gonna get this firewall sanded for the most part here tonight, and try to tape everything off, try to spray the front section of this frame tonight, and then tomorrow come in and spray the firewall slick black.
Hopefully, if everything goes to plan, which everybody knows how that is.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to sanding, and then we'll check in at some point and go from there.
Alright, so we started to tape this thing up here. We went ahead and sanded the firewall and all that kind of stuff. Kind of boring process, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sanding. If you don't know how boring sanding is, just go do it sometime.
Yeah, just find you a nice, not flat piece of something with a bunch of spot welds in it. And you'll get
go do that for an hour or two, and
or 5 minutes,
or just 5 minutes. So.
But anyways, got all that sanded it out to 400. So this thing being solid black or a solid color, we just stopped at 400. There was no need to really go up from there.
If it was a metallic color, which they tend to lay in the sand scratches more, so you go to a higher grit. So
we would have went out to like a 600 or 800 probably for
something like that. But solid black, you should be good at this. So.
Yeah, at 400 should be fine. So about to start put some paint on this thing, because it needs it.
Yeah, it needs it bad. You know, we painted this thing just what we could get at the time when we had the motor and everything in it, kind of one of those rush jobs. So we got most of the sides and the bottom of it, but we never got any of the top with the motor being
like
in it. So.
The top of these A-arms and stuff like that, it was kind of difficult with the inner fenders and all that.
Yeah.
So we're just going to spot in kind of what we already did, but we're mainly going to be focused on the frame rails and the cross member. So
we did take the motor mount brackets out that were
kind of hacked up, I guess you could say. So which, if we didn't show it earlier,
I think we did.
We may have, but that ain't supposed to be like that.
We're going to get them out of we got several trucks up there that don't have the front ends on them. Got them, so
just pull them out, paint them, put them back in. So that's basically it. About time to break the black out and get after it.
We'll do that and start the time lapse of it, spraying it black, and then probably see you tomorrow when we start getting this thing prepped to paint it. So.
That's right. Get her in the booth. last time y'all seen the truck, it was still in the booth. And yeah, here it is. All nice, shiny and black. And I've got to say, it turned out even better than I thought it would. The hole that used to be right there, as you can see, is no longer there. Yeah, we also went ahead, sprayed our brake booster and our windshield wiper motor, and we did not do anything with our master cylinder. Just ignore that for right now, because after we get the truck back a little more dialed in, we're going to be putting our wheelwood setup on here, which is going to replace this with a wheelwood master cylinder.
Yeah, we said it in the previous videos on this truck, but we have a little shop 4-wheel disc wheelwood setup to go on here, and we've had it for over a year now. Just time's never been right to do it, and well, the time's right now. So
yeah, that's right. The truck really was never down long enough to do it, and might as well do it while we're here.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and got the 2 fenders and hood sprayed, also in the shiny black. Tell them a little bit about the paint, Cameron.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I think we said earlier, but not for sure. Well, all this is PPG stuff. Down from the, stripped it to metal, epoxy primed it with a DP90. Base is PPG, and up with a PPG clear, a DC 3000 clear on it. So
yeah, it turned out really good, really nice, shiny black. And then we also went ahead and our inner fenders. These are new inner fenders. There wasn't really nothing wrong with the old ones. Just had a little surface rust on them.
Well, a lot, and it would have took a good week to strip all that out, and worth of evenings, you know.
We ain't got that. We ain't got that kind of time. We had these sitting here. Went ahead, sanded them, sprayed them along with our radiator support, core support, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the support turned out really good, in my opinion.
Yeah. And if you can tell on camera, these are not the same color blacks. The radiator support and inner fenders are a semi-gloss, which is also PPG single stage. We tweaked it a little bit, got a more of a satin semi-gloss finish instead of the full shiny gloss. Because when these trucks were new, which is kind of what we're going for in a sense.
Yeah, kind of a factory look, what we're trying to duplicate here.
The radiator supports and inner fenders, they wasn't a shiny black, but they wasn't a matte black. They was kind of in between, and that's what we was going for, and I think we got very close to what.
Yeah, I love the shine that's on this. Like, it's the perfect
amount that's gonna
perfect look to fit this, I think.
Yeah.
So,
and we didn't want it too shiny, because then it would kind of
flow together with the jammed parts there,
and it kind of just all run together. So we toned the shininess down a little bit, and yeah, that's basically it. That's where we're at. Now the fun part, going back together.
Also went ahead and sprayed, all the hood hinges, all of our bolts in here. We got new bolts for the inner fenders and clips, because the clips are going to break on these inner fenders.
I think on both inner fenders, all of them but 2 didn't break.
Yeah.
So
on the edge, the ones that have the metal clips, the ones that bolt to the cowl, they're all right on this truck, but
and the one that bolts to the inner or the radiator support, they're fine.
Yeah.
It was just the clips that snap inside the fender opening there.
Yeah.
All of them just broke off. So we got our hood latch, secondary latch spring, all that painted, ready to go on, like you said. Bolts painted. New radiator support bushings.
Yeah, got these from LMC, because the other ones, they about fell off. They're so rusted.
Yeah, they were terrible.
And you just about can't reuse them, and as cheap as they are, you might as well just buy them and put on here. I mean, it makes going back together a lot easier too.
Yeah, and it saved us a little spray paint.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty much all we're going to need to get this truck into the shape we're going to need.
All we're going to be doing is hanging the front cap back on it when we take it down to get the motor put back in and everything. So we got to hang the 2 fenders, support the 2 inner fenders and the hood, and then it's ready to go. So
Yeah, for right now. And then once we get the truck back, we'll button everything back up, and we won't put the grill, the front bumper, headlights, stuff like that in there. There's really no need. There's no reason to do it before it goes to have the motor put in, because it ain't got to be in there. So
yeah.
So that's basically it. We're gonna get to it.
Yeah, we'll get the time lapse started, and what we don't get done tonight, we will jump in tomorrow. So it will be
Because
2 different days of
yeah.
time lapse.
Because we kind of need to have this truck at the place it's going tomorrow. So
Yeah.
for everything to work out.
So anyway, a couple days ahead of us, and this thing's off to
That's right.
hopefully get revived
Couple
for.
more days till we got to say goodbye
Yep.
for a little while.
Anyway, we're gonna get to it and get this front end on it.
We got the whole front cap back on here, support, fenders, hood, and it went together pretty good.
Yeah, considering these being aftermarket inner fenders, it's usually they never fit that well.
Or you got to slot holes or stuff like that.
Didn't
But
have to do that here, so lucked out. Got the hood back on, as you seen. I actually lined everything in the front better than it was when this truck was
yeah,
new.
when we got it.
The gaps are not the best on these things when they're brand new, so
Yeah, got a new hood carpet under here, painted our spring, secondary latch, and our hood latch like a detailed grayish color.
yeah. But it all just, I think it looks right now.
And I don't know if you can tell on camera, it's a little dark under the hood, but you can really tell the difference of the shine, the sheen of the inner fender to fender. And like I said, I think it's the perfect amount.
Yeah, it is. I think it is. I mean, it looks like a brand new support.
It does.
I mean,
And yeah, this is basically it.
it is.
All that's left to do now is load it up and say goodbye. Hood shuts nice.
It's just better than it did before.
Yeah, it actually jumps up now when you pop it too. You ain't got to finagle
This
with
thing
it.
turned out
Yeah, let's
really good.
shut this back up here.
You know, we're a little squatty, but
Little squatty, but that's nothing a motor
it's
won't fix.
how it's gonna be with no weight in front of it. So
Yeah.
I guess all that's left, we gotta get this thing loaded up and get it out of here, and hopefully before we know it, we'll have it back. And
Yeah, I'd say what, probably real time month,
yeah,
month and a half,
maybe
2 months.
something like that. We hope. When we
Uh,
get it back, we'll be putting brakes on it and
Yeah.
doing all that stuff.
maybe
again,
going a little bit lower, who knows?
possibly.
But yeah, this is how it's going.
That's how it's gonna leave
How it's
us.
going to leave us.
Yep.
Yep.
And we'll talk more about the motor and stuff when we get the truck back, cause
Yeah, we may just go ahead and throw a picture of the motor up too,
Yeah.
just to.
so yeah. Anyway, we're gonna get this thing loaded up on the trailer, and we'll say something probably right before we leave. And
That's
then,
right.
Long time coming on this thing.
That's right. We've been waiting for this day for a long time. This is it
That's gonna wrap up our part of it, though. What we're gonna do,
for a little while.
yeah, till we get it back, and then there's
Then we get to tear back
whole
into
other
it.
list of stuff to do. So to really get this thing in its final form for us. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll throw updates in other videos about this truck when we get them, and so don't know any kind of timeline or nothing yet, and so yeah, we're gonna be without it a couple months, but it's been like we hadn't had it all year, because
Yeah.
I mean, we hadn't drove this truck hardly any,
Yeah.
especially when it kind of
After it goofed up a little bit.
yeah, we just quit driving it, so it's been 7-8 months, so I don't think we'll miss it that much right now, but the closer we get to, you hear it run and stuff like that, you'll be wanting it back, so.
That's right.
Yep, so we're going to wrap this one up, and appreciate everybody watching, and we said we'll get a whole list of stuff when this thing's completed, of like what all was done to it and everything.
We'll
more videos to come on we'll update, we'll revamp this thing, and so, yeah, we appreciate you watching, and see you in the next one.